God has a beautiful plan for you, but marrying outside your nation was never one of them. Quit diluting your DNA with the heathen. They know who you are, and they know our seed shall inherit the land. Yahushua has chosen you as peculiar treasure set apart and above all nations. It is important that you find a partner who shares the same seed as your father, foundation, and faith as you do. Look at our lesson from our forefather King Solomon. Father has shown us the importance of staying true to our core values. Trust in the path that He has laid out for your life and know that His plan is always good for you. You deserve a love that honors who you are at the core. Would your partner bow down to a Hebrew God?
All praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Honors to the elders and the apostles that have been rightly dividing the word of truth and magnifying the ministry of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah. And as you see in the beginning, we had a woman that wasn't supposed to be teaching, was saying that, the Most High didn't make it for Israelites to be mixing with the nations, making it seem as that, in the same law where she quoted Deuteronomy 7 and 3, that it's not written that, we're going to have heathen concubines in the kingdom, and this law is going to be written on our hearts. But that just showed you that a woman really ain't supposed to be teaching, She's supposed to really be in the background. She's not supposed to be on the forefront, showing her face. And let me see something real quick. Because, yeah, a woman not supposed to be on the forefront, really showing her face and teaching. She's not supposed to be teaching at all, you know. So she was going off right there, and we could prove that also. Let's go to 1 Timothy 2 and 11. It says, "Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression." Right? So that's why a woman not supposed to be teaching, because it's easy for them to read the scriptures and end up deceiving themselves. You know? And I know she didn't actually read, Deuteronomy chapter 7 and go into it, but she was regurgitating what she heard from the camps, obviously. Because, camps that teach that there's not going to be even any heathen marriages always put that scripture out, but it's a context to that scripture. So all she was doing was regurgitating what she was hearing, right? And that's why a woman is not supposed to be teaching. But let's deal with it. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7 real quick, because this is where she's getting that from. But it was going into something way different, right? Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3, it says, "Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other powers. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly." So, this is a misused verse right here that, a lot of camps and people that teach take out of context to make it seem as that, there's not going to be any heathen marriages, any Israelite man marrying, heathen woman. But, in the same law is written, let's go to it. Deuteronomy 21 and 10, it says, "When thou goest forth to war against thy enemies, and Yahweh thy power have delivered them into thy hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thy house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month, and after that thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife." So a lot of camps take Deuteronomy chapter 7 out of context. It's written in the same book that when we go into these enemy countries, these enemy lines, and take over the countries, and we see a beautiful woman that we desire to have, long as we do it lawfully, we're gonna be able to, go into her and make her our wives. And this is a lot of, I mean, this is a law that a lot of people don't like to deal with. You rarely hear this being brought out. So let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 7, because this is taken out of context. She said it wasn't. She said something about the Lord not making it. Uh, Let me just listen to what he said real quick on my phone. She said, "Oh, she said the Most High." She said Yahweh has a beautiful plan for us, but marrying outside our nation wasn't one of them. But right here is written in the law that we're gonna have. By the way, this law is gonna be written on our hearts. So when we go into enemy countries and we taking them over with Yahweh Shah, and we see a beautiful woman among these other nations, because we're not taking over Israelite nations, we're not taking our own people captives. So these is talking about the enemies. It says when we go into these other nations, take them over, we see a beautiful woman, you know, and we shave her hair, we clip her nails, and let her mourn for her father, her mother for a full month. That we shall go into her and make her her wife, make her our wife, right? So it was a part of the Most High's plan if you put it in the law, right? And we know that the law of the Lord is perfect, right? And you can read about that in Psalm 19 and 7. But let's get back to Deuteronomy chapter 7, because it's taken out of context. They only read verse 3, but they don't start at verse 1, right? So let's read. It says, when Yahweh thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Gershites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when Yahweh thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, utterly destroy them. Shalakia, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughters shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other powers. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. So when you read verse 1, this is dealing with Hamites right here. This is dealing with Hamitic nations, right? We could go to Genesis chapter 10 and show you that these are all Hamitic nations. He says 7 nations greater and mightier than us, right? Let's see. The sons of Ham. Right, let's find Ham real quick. It says Cush begat Nimrod. Sons of Ham. Where is that? Oh, it's right here. Right. We're going to start at verse. See if I don't want to miss one. So we're going to start at verse 15. It says, and Canaan begat Zidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Gershite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zarmarite, and the Hamathite. And afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. So how many was that right there? We see 1, we see 2, 3. That's 4. Where's the other ones at? Because they in here. Let me see something real quick. But these are all Hamitic nations, that we're dealing with in Deuteronomy chapter 7. So when somebody's, bringing this up, saying that, the Most High didn't make us to marry the heathen, we can't marry the heathen. Well, you lying on Yahweh's name, because it's written in the same book that when we go out to these countries, we could make the heathen women are wives. Deuteronomy chapter 7 is only dealing with the Hamitic nations, right? But let's start at verse 15 again. It says, "And Canaan begat Zidon, his firstborn Heth, the Jebusite and the Jebusite," right? So the Jebusite is one nation, and it says in the Amorite, that's another nation, and it says in the Gershite, that's another nation. It says in the Hivite, right? That's another nation. It says in the Archite, in the Sinite, in the Arvadite, in the Zemarite, and the Hamathite, and afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. I'm trying to see if I can find the other Hamitic nations, but this is all dealing with Ham right here. You know, the Canaanites. Let's see. They said the Hivites. We got the Hivites, the Gershites. We got the Gershites, the Amorites, the Canaanites. We got the Hivites and the Jebusites. And there's one more, but it's a Hamitic nation also. But that's what Deuteronomy chapter 7 is dealing with. It's dealing with the Hamites. And you can read about the Hamites in Deuteronomy chapter 10. I mean, Genesis chapter 10. Forgive me, right? But this is what this is going into, you know? You can't take you can't go to this chapter and go to verse 3 and try to make a whole, a doctrine out of it, because you will be contradicting the law of the Most High, saying that this law is saying that we can't make marriages with all the heathen women. No, this is only dealing with the seven nations of the Hamites, right? Now we finna get some. Well, let's go back to that law in Deuteronomy chapter 21, because we're gonna get an example of that in the same law. So verse 10, it says, "And when thou goest forth to war against thy enemies, and Yahweh thy power have delivered them into thy hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among them captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thy house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month." So when we go into these other countries of our enemies, and we see a beautiful woman among these nations, outside of the seven nations that the Lord said we can't make marriages with, he said we should take her to our house, and we should clip her nails and shave her head, and we should let her bewail her father and her mother, meaning, their death. And then it says a full month, and then it says, and after that full month, it says, "Thou shalt go in unto her." It is talking about sex right there, going into her. Once you lawfully take her in, you shave her head, you pare her nails, you let her mourn for her father and her mother, you get in that. You make her yours, man. That's what it's saying. Then it says, "And be her husband, and she shall be thy wife." And this is talking about a heathen. This is talking about a heathen, man. You can't get around it. But let's get another example of this, because this happened, once in the time of Moses, that we could read about. Let me get it real quick. Right, Numbers 31. So let's go to it. Numbers 31. We're going to start at verse 12. It says, "And they brought the captives and the prey and the spoil unto Moses and Eleazar the priest, and unto the congregation of the children of Israel, and to the camp at the plains of Moab, which are by the Jordan near Jericho. And Moses and Eleazar the priest and all the princes of the congregation went forth to meet them without the camp. And Moses was wroth with the officers of the host, with the captains over thousands, and the captains over hundreds, which came from the battle. And Moses said unto them, Had ye saved the woman alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against Yahweh in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of Yahweh. It says, now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that had known man by lying with him. Verse 18, but all the woman children that have not known a man by lying with them, keep alive for yourselves. Because what? So this is an example of Deuteronomy chapter 21 and verse 10, where it says when you go into these, you fight against your enemies and you see, you know, the woman. But this one right here is dealing with the woman children. And no, you're not gonna go into a woman's children, but you're gonna keep the woman children until they grow up into a marriageable age, and you'll be able to make them your wives. And this is, this is in the scriptures. You don't be mad at me for, bringing this out. You got to deal with the Most High. But this was what was going on back then. You could take the young woman, and once they growed up in a marriageable age, you could make them your wife. An example of, Deuteronomy 21, where you could go into these heathen countries and you could take their wives. But let's deal with some more. Let's go to, oh yeah, another scripture that's, misused, right? Because they like to go to Tobit. But Tobit is going to, it's dealing with inheritance, So let's go to Tobit. Let me go to my book. They start at verse 12. And they try to use this to, hold on to that same doctrine that it can't be, you can't marry heathen wives. But we're going to get into it. Bear with me. Let me get to it real quick. All right, cool. So Tobit 4 and 12. Let's start at verse 1. It says, in that day Tobit remembered the money which he had committed to Gabel and the rages of Media. And he said with himself, I have wished for death. Wherefore do I not call for my son Tobias, that I may signify to him of the money before I die? And when he had called him, he said, my son. So this is a conversation between Tobit and his son. It says, when I am dead, bury me, and despise not thy mother, but honor her all thy days of thy life, and do that which shall please her, and grieve her not. It says, remember, my son, that she saw many dangers for thee when thou wast in her womb. And when she is dead, bury her by me in one grave. So we're gonna jump to verse 12, because this is the verse that, they like to go to. But we done already proved in the law that it's gonna be, heathen marriages, because the law is gonna be written on our heart in the kingdom. But verse 12, it says, beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. Right? So this is dealing with tribe right here. This is dealing with tribes. The children of Israel consist of 12 tribes, excuse me. But we're gonna jump the verse. We're gonna go to chapter 1 and verse 1 to see what tribe Tobit was from. Right? It's only right to see what tribe Tobit was from, because he was dealing with tribes when he was telling his son this. This is Tobit chapter 1 verse 1. It says, the book of the words of Tobit, son of Tobiel, the son of Anael, the son of Aduel, the son of Gabel, the seed of Azel, of the tribe of Naphtali. So Tobit was from the tribe of Naphtali, and he's telling his son to take a wife of the tribe of Naphtali. Why? Let's read on. It says, for we are the children of the prophets, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land. So the reason he's telling his son to take a wife from his own tribe, which is from the tribe of Naphtali, is so that the inheritance of the land won't get mixed up, right? Because let's say Let's say this man married a wife from Judah, and he had a son and he had a daughter. Wait, let me make sure I'm saying this right. Well, let's just go to the law. I don't have to explain it because it's written in the law what I'm trying to say. Well, let's go to Numbers chapter 36. Just let the word speak for me. All right, Numbers chapter 36 and verse 6, it says, "This is the thing which Yahweh do command concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, Let them marry to who they think best. Only to the family of the tribe of their fathers shall they marry. So shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe." So that's what I was trying to say. You don't want the tribes getting mixed up. You don't want a man, from Naphtali marrying a woman from Judah, having a son, and his son marrying a woman from the tribe, a different tribe, and they have a son. Dang, it's kind. It's hold on. I'm trying to say it. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you don't want the inheritance of the land getting mixed up. Let's say a man from Naphtali marry a woman from Judah, and they have a daughter, and another man from Judah come along and marry their daughter. You don't want that the land inheritance going to the son of the man of Naphtali's daughter. I mean the man, yeah, the man of Naphtali's daughter. You don't want the inheritance of the land going to the son from the tribe of Judah when your daughter is from the tribe of Naphtali and she's supposed to inherit the land, right? That's why I'm saying let the daughters marry from their tribe because you don't want the inheritance of the land being mixed up, and that's what it's going into in Tobit. Well, let's read on. It says, "And every daughter that possesses an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be a wife unto one of the family of the tribe of her father, that the children of Israel may enjoy every man the inheritance of his fathers." Right? "Neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another tribe, but every one of the tribes of the children of Israel shall keep himself to his own inheritance." Right? So that's what Tobit was going into. He was telling his son to take a wife from his tribe so that the inheritance of the land won't be getting mixed up. And then you have a daughter, and a man from Judah come and marry your daughter, and he inherit the land. And he from Judah, and you from Naphtali. So that's what that was going into. You can't use this to say that there's not going to be any heathen marriages, because before we close out, let's read it again. Deuteronomy chapter 21 and verse 10. And it says, "When thou goest forth to war against thy enemies, and Yahweh thy power hath delivered them into thy hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go in unto her," talking about sex, "and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife." So this is clearly, we're gonna clearly have heathen woman in the kingdom of heaven. And you can't do nothing about it, because the law of the Lord is perfect. And this law right here is gonna be written on our heart. So when we go to Germany, we go to down Asia, we go out to them islands, you know, Israelite man gonna have all type of, heathen wives, But they're not gonna be on the same level as the Israelite woman. Of course not. But they're gonna be wives of lower status, right? Concubines. But that's what the lesson was right here, Heathen wives are going to be accepted in the kingdom. According to the Lord, man, not according to me. Don't be mad at me, man. But all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Shalom.